Well, I don't know about you, but when I think about merging, I can have one of two pretty opposite reactions. The first, I think, has its roots in my childhood, where I experienced a general sense of not being seen for who I was. Because I am the daughter of a fundamentalist Baptist minister, that church community permeated all of my life. And because for all kinds of reasons I didn't fit in there, I learned to be skeptical of any expectations that came with merging into that community. Those expectations were usually accompanied with demands for me to be someone I wasn't. And so for me, one possible and common reaction to merging is fear and skepticism. I fear that in merging, who I am will at best be disrespected and at worst erased. My second reaction to the notion of merging is much more like that of the little wave. Relief. Finally, feeling the truth of belonging, that sense of wholeness, knowing oneness with all that is. And while the relief of merging is a much more compelling reaction, it also tends to be a more fleeting or rare experience. I find it more often in nature than I do within human community. But although it's elusive, I long for it, to belong in the family of humanity, or as Mary Oliver said, to find my place in the family of things. I expect you have your own reactions to the idea of merging, and whatever it may be, you bring all of this to today's water celebration. All of who you are and all of what you bring, including your many visions for what it means to come together as a congregation. Today, all of that comes together and merges. The question is, can we, as a community, create the space and welcome that allows all who enter to have that experience of relief? Relief at finding a place of true belonging. What if you, and more importantly, if others, could bring all of who they are, their stories and their experiences, and actually be fully accepted and affirmed here? Could we really make it possible for all who enter to bask in a sense of inclusion and wholeness and to know belonging? To create such a place is not an easy or necessarily natural task. But if FUS, if Unitarian Universalism, if humanism could be that countercultural, that shape-shifting, then indeed this would be a place of transformation, offering an experience that's very difficult to find in our polarized world. And FUS could become a place to which folks flock in order to be known and to know belonging. Now, I believe that being a place of belonging has to go beyond stating our intention in an aspiration or a principle. It requires each of us to do the work of opening our hearts and minds to each other, being willing to let go of some of our strongly held individualism. There are many layers to this and much more exploration than this particular time allows for. Still, as your interim minister, I invite you into wondering about how and if FUS could be such a place. The counterintuitive reality about a place of true belonging is that it requires us to do some serious self-reflection. You have already added water that symbolizes bringing your whole beautiful individual selves into this community. And indeed, you are beautiful, each and every one of you, and complex, and you belong here. The self-reflection required is to ponder and recognize those individual tendencies to exclude or ignore the different, or the tough things, or the things that make us uncomfortable. So before we bring the waters together, to merge them all together into one bowl, I just want to name a few things for us to consider. Because to become truly welcoming, we need to accept that sometimes we aren't. And unless we acknowledge that, we can't learn and grow. So, here's a cup. It has a rather unusual shape, has pretty rough glazing. It can represent those things that feel unfamiliar or that rub us the wrong way. Perhaps especially those folks whose life experience is different than ours. So may this water remind us to allow space for what makes us uncomfortable, knowing that it belongs. It belongs in our merged waters. And here's the measuring cup. It can be used to make quantitative and qualitative and evaluative judgments. And I add it to represent anything, including our divergent beliefs, that could be deemed to not measure up to our expectations. May this water remind us that we have a tendency to judge and to help us let go of that judgment. Here's a clear cup. It's to represent those things that we don't see, the voices that aren't at the table, our blind spots. It also represents those who are part of this community but who may not be able to be here in person. All these unseen things are part of our waters. May we be attentive to the unseen. And this cup filled with salt water, it represents grief. May we not shy away from acknowledging it. May we hold it, share it. Grief and other difficult feelings are part of all of us. May we welcome it all. This black and white cup represents our tendency to create binaries of right and wrong, in and out, male and female. I add its waters to help us recognize the errors of seeing things in black and white and either or. So may it remind us to bring both and into our understanding. And this cup, decorated with a keffiyeh pattern, represents Gaza and its people, but it also speaks for all the pain of the world, violence, war, hunger, suffering. May we not turn away, and may our waters cry out for peace and freedom, and may all those who do not have fresh water have it. Now, this collection of cups is not exhaustive. I invite you to continue to think on other waters that you would like to add to our common bowl. Because while our water ceremony is one way to understand ourselves as belonging, not separate and not alone, it also offers the experience of merging. Merging that we may be touched and touch others, that we may be understood and come to greater understanding, that we might find strength and offer support to others, merging into being part of everything, alongside and among all, and to feel the truth that our well-being is tied up in the well-being of others. In truth, truly, we need each other to survive. May it be so. So today we symbolically gather our individual selves into a collective whole, from north, from west, from south and east. We merge our individual stories into the river that's community. So I ask for the waters to be brought forward now, and we'll merge our waters into one whole. Into this bowl we have poured water that represents all of us, all our shared questions and dreams and hopes and values, our struggles, our different journeys, our backgrounds. The gifts and preciousness of each one of you are part of that whole, like waves in an ocean, creating this sea of love and connection that contains and remembers all that we have brought into it. And so we begin a new program year, pledging to go forward together in this welcoming and transformative congregation where what you have to offer is what is needed. With the many streams pouring into the river that is your life, may you receive an abundance of health, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and love. May you both be transformed by and transform this congregation.